Hi there, my name is Simon Moffat. I'm founder and research analyst at the Cyberhood. And in this video, I'm sitting down with Nia from P0 Security. Nia, hi there, welcome.
Hi, Simon. Nice to chat with you.
Not at all. Thank you for taking a little bit of time. I always get the easy job of asking a few questions. And so you're leading this sort of product side at P0, changing the world of sort of privileged access management and cloud access management, making it more accessible, more simpler for adoption and very sort of API first and contextually aware. And obviously, privileged access management been around for 2-3 decades commercially, and it has been on this
hmm
journey for evolution, which I think is very exciting. It's something so I've been following for quite a while, and a part of that evolution is I think first of all, making privileged access available to more systems and more different identity types, but also helping organizations migrate to more just-in-time based ways of gaining access to credentials and permissions, as well as that strategic movement to sort of zero standing privileges, which we'll probably touch on a little bit in this video. So the idea is we're going to do a bit of a technical demo. Hopefully the demo gods are working and being
Yeah.
kind to us, which is always exciting. But I'd love to sort of know a little bit more about this. I guess there's a couple of areas we're going to sort of dive into here today. And one is looking at just in time for cloud. Now, obviously cloud is an adoption paradigm 10, 15, 18 years at least, where organizations are looking at SaaS applications, but also this amalgamation of infrastructure in the cloud, data storage, network storage, a whole host of other sort of services and functions. And to me, it's quite complex in the sense of organizations, and I think especially the sort of development teams and the engineering teams, they sort of hardwire and gain access to data, to services, to functions, but then they slowly walk away without making that repeatable, streamlined, and other. So the cloud entitlements angle, to me, it seems like there's one around the access is often quite coarse grained. It's often over permissioned. There's always this constant view of misconfiguration, if you like, and how organizations can manage the sort of day-to-day
Yep.
access to things there. So I guess it's probably what it means. It seems to me just in time to cloud, it's an optimization problem to me. It's something which really needs to be handled in a more effective way, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think organizations have been at it for at least a couple of years now, trying to tune and tweak how cloud entitlements are sort of managed. But the fact of the matter is, even today, that most cloud breaches actually come from over permissioning identities. And just in time will sort of eliminate that risk by default. But just in time here, as we think about it, it cannot be like, blanket access to your cloud environments, because then you're again dealing with over permission identities. You really want to you really want to sort of solve this problem by, by picking a tool that allows you to do just in time, but just in time in a way that you can assign fine-grained privileges to what developers need at any given point of time, as opposed to just sort of giving them broader access. And P0 does that fairly successfully. We connect to your CSP environments, we can auto discover cloud entitlements, and then we can help sort of our customers convert uh, to build sort of just-in-time policies that can help them grant access to their developers to these fine-grained roles within the cloud environments. And this essentially is incorporated again in a way that is fairly developer friendly. And I want to call this out specifically because you could have a really sort of well thought out security program, but if it's not easy for a developer to use, you're going to see massive friction in adoption and ultimately a failure of your security program if you can't make it easier. So you really want a tool that can help you create these just-in-time policies in a way, in a workflow that's embedded within how developers operate on a daily basis, and then also you can providing that fine-grained access control as and when needed.
I think that's really interesting. I think this, before we sort of dive into the demo, the last point I want to make there is that friction is important, because I think what tends to happen is a sort of single developer or an application, for example, that's being worked upon, that they will build out the access they need, but then other applications or other engineers, they need to have similar ways of gaining access. So it ends up being very sort of hard coded, static, unrepeatable. So that mean time to access, or that high friction, it develops in pockets within teams and within sort of application development areas. And that to me ends up being a real, it's like a cascading problem of being unable to get access to the right thing. So how does this
Absolutely.
work? Is it an easy thing to demo? How can we see this in action?
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to start my demo here. Hold on. So this is my terminal. I'm trying to get access into one of the EC2 instances on the cloud here. You can see very similar to the workflow that I had for cloud entitlements here with SSH. This gets recorded as an SSH call. If you go here, you can see that I am requesting access for an SSH node. I can approve this access. Let's say I approve it for 5 minutes. We'll go back to the terminal and we'll see what happens here. What it does in the background is once the request is approved, it will ask me to authenticate as a user. And once that user is authenticated, and you'll see here, I've already logged into my Okta instance. This instance is authenticated with Okta. So it's asking me for authorization. So you'll see the access is granted now. And it once it's done, it lands me into the box. And if I actually see who am I, you'll see it's logged
Okay.
me in as a corporate identity. It's not a shared account. It's not a shared credential. So I think again, the advantages here are when I start now looking at the history, and if you actually come and see when this access was requested, and for this we also have session recordings as well, you could see that this role was provisioned for me and I was granted access to this box. And again, simplifying that audit history here, I'm not explaining if this is an X user and mapping them back to those shared accounts at audit time. So just making
That's
it easier
fantastic.
to sort of process and access.
Very, very simple user experience, I must say. Very, very simple, clear, and not that the sort of old-fashioned having to jump out and jump in, copy and paste in
Mhm.
public-private keys, and all of the SSH stuff of the old world. I think, again, there's some interesting aspects there around. It's identity centric, which I think is important. I think the ability then, obviously, the approval stuff is really key. But I guess it is the identity centric security, but again, it's that removing friction, improving speed, for the end user or the end developer requesting access, and improving things like audit efficiency and the ability to quickly see who's done what, when it was approved, why it was approved, which is, I think, it's a really, really important thing. That's two nice use cases there. Obviously, one was sort of fine grained and, I guess, quite fiddly and complex around the permissioning, and one was much more, I guess, optimizing an existing problem. And I guess both of those sort of just in time things, they sit under this sort of zero standing privileges sort of concept, which is one that's been around for a few years. And I think many organizations, they understand it. They get, in some respects, the issues with standing permissions and standing credentials and shared accounts and things pre-provisioned and pre-accessed. And they sit here in position A, and they want to get up to the magic quadrant top right, and they want to go on this journey. But how can they start on this sort of ZSP journey? It seems to me, I mean, it doesn't want to be a one-off process. I guess historically we've been used to this. Let's do a big access review. Let's remove all the permissions that aren't being used or aren't needed, and then the auditors have gone, excellent. 6 months later we'll revisit it, and it seems to be always just have quite an up and down process. But to me, we need to be more incremental, which I think, first of all, are more continuous in being able
Yep.
to do that. So how do we get to this sort of zero standing? Is it an easy thing? Is it a difficult thing? What's your take here?
Yeah, absolutely. The truth of the matter is, companies are struggling to maintain zero standing privileges at scale, and that's primarily because you have siloed tools, one to essentially do some just-in-time access, and then you may have other tools that shows you posture. of your product or the standing privileges within your product. And what P0 does is we kind of bring together all of that information in one place. So when we are connected to your cloud environments, we are able to build uh, complete access paths that we see for all of your resources mapped to every single identity, whether in your platform, whether that's a human identity, non-human identity, or agentic identities now. We also have posture findings from within out of the box that we provide that can give you a perspective of where these standing privileges exist. And then we go sort of one step beyond. Again, all of this is out of the box where for where we see standing privileges, we allow our customers to then go clean up their environment. So as you can see here, it's very simple. Again, you see a bunch of different findings where we can see standing privileges, and then you can go and sort of fix this or sort of completely eliminate standing privileges. And here there's a couple of paths forward. One is immediately clean up in your environment, very easy to use instructions that customers can then just go and clean up this standing access, or replace these with just-in-time policies. So completely eliminating that standing privileges. So you started with a problem of where you saw standing privilege, you remediate that, and then proactively for the future go set up these just-in-time policies so developers can access requests to these resources as and when needed. All of that is within the platform provided out of the box, so it becomes very easy to identify where the standing privileges exist and sort of convert that more into the just-in-time model.
I love that. I love that. It's again, it's fixing and then it's making it sustainable, isn't it? I think, historically we've used to sort of IGA processes for standard users, and then you do sort of the audit cleanup for PAM, and it's, as you say, it's a big one-off thing, and it's time consuming, and it's like, well, the systems are working, and I feel a bit intimidated by taking things away, especially CSP access, server access, dev access, etc. It's like, well, I don't want to remove stuff because I
Yeah.
might be impacting something of real value, especially if it's shared, isn't it? If you have shared APIs, shared credentials, shared SSH, you're not quite sure out of the 6 people who are sharing it or 6 systems, which one is and
Which
isn't,
one?
and what happens if you take it away. I think is it key. I quite like the sort of little snippets there that sort of, as you see, you find the problem
Yeah.
first, go and do this. It is like an assistant, isn't it? It's like a recommendation, sort of getting started to health, and then I think having that long tail of continuous. It seems like it's more of a continuous, iterative process than it has been in the past, which I think is really powerful. And it sounds like it's more automated than it used to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. So all of that is like automated out of the box. And I think I said this early on, Simon, but I think governance and the whole audit process should not be a quarterly fire drill.
Yeah,
We really want to ensure that we can build in the right sort of processes when someone starts off. So again, it does not become a fire drill at the end of every quarter. Every request is every access is completely available for you to see. You can see where standing privileges exist. You can convert that into a just-in-time model, and from a just-in-time perspective, you have a complete perspective of who asked access for what, and you can absolutely pinpoint which identity because you're not dealing with those shared accounts and credentials anymore.
yeah. I think it's yeah. Find the problem, fix the problem, and then I guess keep it fixed, isn't it? Keeping it strategic. Ability, threats are going to change, users will change, systems will change, and you don't want, as you say, to be having this big periodic effort involved. It's fantastic, really interesting. I think just in time and zero standing is clearly it's a strategic thing. I think it's going to improve security. It's going to improve productivity. It's definitely going to remove those sort of high friction sort of workflows and access use cases for engineering, development, infrastructure, administration teams as well. So, Nia from PZ, thank you for taking a little bit of time out. I appreciate you leading the product there and building and designing and doing roadmap and all of that sort of stuff. It's a busy world. So I appreciate taking a little bit of time out to explain it in really simple terms to myself. So that was absolutely fantastic. I think this is a really interesting area. I think it's an area which is clearly going to get bigger and broader as organizations both consume more cloud services, but I think they're going to have more and different types of identities accessing those both cloud and I guess on-prem resources as well. So Nia, thank you for taking a little bit of time out to chat with me today. This has been another video by the Cyber Hut, and I will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Bye.